Hi, I'm James Ezimoha, and you're watching A News. Here are your top stories. Jimmy Carter, former U.S. President and Nobel Prize winner, dies at the age of 100. South Korea mourns country's deadliest plane crash that killed 179 people. President of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev, calls on Russia to admit guilt in Aktau plane crash. Former President Jimmy Carter has passed away at the age of 100. Tributes from world leaders are pouring in honor of his remarkable legacy of peace, human rights, and compassion.
I'd like to announce that I am a candidate for president.
Former U.S. President Jimmy Carter, the 39th leader of the United States, has passed away at the age of 100. Carter served from 1977 to 1981, remembered for brokering the historic Camp David Accords and his lifelong humanitarian efforts. Awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 2002, he dedicated his post-presidency to promoting peace and human rights through the Carter Center. Global tributes have poured in. The European Parliament called him a tireless champion for peace and human rights. Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau highlighted Carter's legacy of compassion and hard work. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky expressed gratitude for Carter's unwavering support for Ukraine's freedom and democratic values. U.S. President Joe Biden, speaking from the U.S. Virgin Islands, remembered Carter as a statesman, a humanitarian, and a dear friend.
The entire Carter family, on behalf of the world, the whole nation, we send our whole heartfelt sympathies and gratitude. Our gratitude for sharing President Carter with us for so many years. You know, Jimmy Carter stands as a model of what it means to live a life of meaning and purpose, a life of principle, faith, and humility. His life dedicated to others.
Flags at federal buildings across the United States have been lowered to half-staff in honor of Jimmy Carter, former U.S. president and humanitarian.
I remember when we couldn't find a microphone.
Severe weather hit the southeastern United States this weekend as at least 10 tornadoes tore through Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. The deadly storm caused widespread destruction, leaving at least 4 people dead. In Crockett, the tornado uprooted trees, snapped power lines, and tore off parts of a clinic's roof. The storm also caused massive flooding, bursting water pipes, and creating hazardous conditions for both residents and drivers. Meanwhile, in Dickinson, heavy rain and lightning from the storm system drenched the Gulf Coast under dark, overcast skies, while residents braced for more dangerous weather. Syria's de facto leader, Ahmed al-Ashara, has shared his vision for the country's future in an interview with Al Arabiya. His remarks covered plans for constitutional reforms and the transition to state governance.
Syria's de facto leader Ahmed al-Shara outlined a detailed roadmap for the country's future during a recent interview with Al Arabiya.
Drafting a new constitution and the constitutional amendments need a long time by experts. They may need 2 to 3 years, God knows.
Ahmed al-Shara emphasized the need to transition from factional governance to a state-building approach.
A country cannot be run by the mentality of groups and factions. Since we were in Idlib, we are ready for this, psychologically and morally.
He assured neighboring countries that Syria would not become a platform for cross-border attacks, addressing regional security concerns. Optimism also was expressed for improved relations with the United States under President-elect Donald Trump, including lifting sanctions and removing the $10 million bounty on Ahmed al-Shara.
In response to the humanitarian crisis in Syria, Azerbaijan has dispatched its first humanitarian aid convoy. The shipment primarily consists of food and essential supplies.
Azerbaijan has sent its first humanitarian aid convoy to Syria, carrying around 200 tons of essential supplies. The convoy will travel through Azerbaijan, Georgia, and Turkey before reaching the city of Idlib, where the aid will be distributed to those in need. Turkey's Disaster and Emergency Management Authority will oversee the distribution. This initiative aims to ease the suffering of thousands of people in Syria who have been affected by years of ongoing conflict.
The humanitarian aid convoy will be delivered through the Choban Bay cross point to Idlib city of Syria. Our delegation, led by the foreign minister of Azerbaijan, is now in Syria. They are holding meetings. Yesterday there was a meeting with the foreign minister of the transition government, Ashibani, and the various cooperation areas were discussed, including the rebuilding reconstruction efforts and at the same time continuation of the humanitarian aid to Syria.
The Azerbaijani delegation visiting Syria discussed matters of cooperation between Azerbaijan and Syria. The meeting also addressed the closure of the Azerbaijani embassy in Syria since 2012 and the issue of its possible restoration.
The World Health Organization has declared cholera a major global emergency, with outbreaks surging through multiple countries. Resource shortages, poor sanitation and displacement are intensifying the crisis.
After decades of progress in controlling cholera, the world is now witnessing a troubling resurgence. According to the World Health Organization, cholera cases have risen sharply, with 44 countries reporting outbreaks last year, up from 35 in 2021. Fatalities have also reached their highest level in over a decade. In South Sudan, one of the worst affected regions, the disease is spreading rapidly in refugee camps where poor sanitation creates a perfect breeding ground for cholera. The World Health Organization and local authorities are racing to vaccinate displaced populations in Juba and surrounding areas. Margaret Harris, a spokeswoman for the World Health Organization, emphasized that while vaccines are useful, they are not the primary solution. She highlighted the importance of ensuring access to clean water for everyone and maintaining its separation from areas used as toilets, stressing that this is absolutely critical. The World Health Organization stresses that while vaccines provide some relief, the priority must be on improving water and sanitation systems to prevent further outbreaks. Immediate action is critical to contain the disease and save lives.
Japanese shares ended the year on a high, with Nikkei 225 index reaching its highest level in over 3 decades. The index began 2024 at 33,000 yen and surged to 38.9 thousand yen in February, its highest since the late 1980s bubble era. The Tokyo Stock Exchange celebrated this milestone at its annual closing ceremony, marking a 19.5% increase for the year. The Nikkei closed today at almost 40,000 yen, capping a historic year for Japan's market. A tragic fire at a hotel near Bangkok's Chao Chan Road claimed the lives of 3 foreign tourists and injured 7 others. The blaze erupted on the 5th floor of the 6-story Ember Hotel, emergency services said. Authorities reported that 1 victim died at the scene, while 2 others later succumbed to their injuries in the hospital. Among the 75 people staying at the hotel, 7 were injured, including 2 Thai nationals and 5 foreign visitors. Witnesses described desperate rescue efforts, with firefighters breaking windows to free those trapped inside. The cause of the fire is still currently under investigation. A national period of mourning has been declared by South Korea's acting president, Choi Sang-mo, following the Jeju air crash until January 4. All 175 passengers and 4 of the 6 crew members died after the plane skidded off the runway and crashed into a wall.
South Korea's acting president, Choi Sang-mo, has declared a period of national mourning until the 4th of January for the lives lost in the crash at Muan International Airport. The acting president, who traveled to Muan upon receiving the news of the incident, held an emergency meeting and declared the area a special disaster zone, pledging the government's support.
I offer my deepest condolences to those who tragically lost their lives. I also feel deeply sorry and would want to comfort the families who are left behind. As the acting head of the government, responsible for the safety and lives of our residents, I feel an indescribable sorrow and profound regret.
A total of 179 people perished after a Boeing 737 aircraft belonging to Jeju Air veered off the runway and slammed into an airport perimeter wall after the landing gear reportedly failed to deploy. 2 survivors, both crew members, were rescued from the back of the plane, which shattered into pieces upon impact. Families of the crash victims were brought to tears as they received the news of their loved ones. Now they turn to the government for help.
I can only accept it, make peace with it. When I think about it, I remind myself that it was an accident. It's something that can happen to anyone. So I've come to terms with it because no matter what I do, my daughter won't come back. I just hope the government can provide some help. I want to bring my daughter's body back home for a proper religious ceremony.
In a statement on social media, plane manufacturer Boeing says they have established contact with Jeju Air and extend their deepest condolences to the affected families. The cause of the crash is yet to be officially confirmed, though a bird strike has been pointed to as a possibility, following a Mayday message from the pilots shortly before the accident. The Transportation Ministry says it has retrieved both black boxes from the crash and that both flight data and voice recorder devices have been secured.
The black box that was collected will be transferred to Gimpo Airport's Test and Analysis Center on Friday morning to check for the possibility of any analysis before we can start the analysis process. The US National Transportation Safety Board will be joining in the accident investigations.
This accident is South Korea's deadliest civil aviation disaster.
In an interview with the state television, Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev has called on Russia to admit guilt in the Azov plane crash near Aktau. He also said that the crew members showed true professionalism.
President Ilham Aliyev has commented on the tragic plane crash near Aktau, Kazakhstan, which claimed multiple lives and raised serious questions about safety and accountability. The Azerbaijani leader praised the courage and professionalism of the aircraft crew in handling the emergency.
The pilots showed both professionalism and heroism in controlling the plane that was out of control in various ways. Of course, they were experienced pilots and knew that they would not be able to survive this emergency landing. However, they displayed tremendous heroism to save the passengers, and it is thanks to them that there are survivors in this plane crash. It is thanks to them that a section of the fuselage did not burn, and it is thanks to them that we can clearly say today that the plane was shot down by Russia. This is a fact, and no one can deny this fact. Again, we are not saying that this was done intentionally, but it was done.
President Aliyev also extended gratitude to the Kazakh authorities and first responders for their immediate action and bravery during the crisis.
Bəli, mən ilk növbədə Prezident Tokayeva minnətdarlıq ifadə etmək üçün zəng etdim.
Yes, first of all, I called to express my gratitude to President Tokayev, because we knew and had received information that as soon as the accident occurred, Kazakh rescuers immediately arrived at the scene and began to pull people out of the destroyed fuselage. They put their own lives at risk, because they did not know whether there would be another explosion or not. A part of the plane had burned, and the other part could have caught fire as well. But despite this, they showed true heroism. At the same time, the activities of the medical teams were also very valuable, because the injured passengers were immediately taken to medical facilities. And I express my gratitude to President Tokayev for this.
Addressing the issue of accountability, President Aliyev outlined Azerbaijan's expectations from Russia and the demands that have been communicated.
We have clearly expressed our demands to the Russian side.
Dekabrın 27'sinde
These demands were officially communicated to them on the 27th of December.
onlara çattırıldı. Bu nedenle
What do these demands consist of? First of all, the Russian side must apologize to Azerbaijan.
İkinci,
Secondly,
öz günahını
it must acknowledge its guilt.
Üçüncü,
Thirdly,
günahkarları cezalandırmalı.
those responsible must be punished, brought to criminal responsibility,
Ve Azerbaycan
and
devletine
compensation must be paid to the Azerbaijani state, to the injured passengers and crew members.
üzvlerine tezminat ödemelidir. Bu bizim şartlar.
These are our conditions.
Onlardan biri
The first of these was fulfilled yesterday.
birincisi artık temin edildi. Dünen ben ümit ederim ki diğer
I do hope that the other conditions will also be accepted.
bütün bu şartlar
All
adalet.
these conditions are fair.
Burada hər hansı bir fövqəladə tələb yaxud da ki
There are no extraordinary demands or issues here.
və bu beynəlxalq
All of this is based on international experience and normal human conduct.
davranışa əsaslanır.
The crash of the Azerbaijani plane near Aktau on December 25th remains under investigation. Azerbaijan has called for a transparent international inquiry to uncover all the details surrounding the incident. Preliminary results of the investigation revealed that the plane, while approaching the city of Grozny, was attacked by the Russian Pantsir S air defense system. Meanwhile, the survivors are receiving medical care, and the nation mourns the loss of its citizens and crew members.
The heroic actions of Azerbaijan Airlines pilots and crew members during the Aktau emergency landing saved 29 lives. Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev honored their bravery.
On December 25, 2024, an Embraer 190 aircraft belonging to Azerbaijan Airlines and operating the Baku-Grozny flight came under external physical and technical interference in Russian airspace, losing control and being redirected to Aktau, Kazakhstan. Despite severe damage and injuries, the pilots and the crew members displayed exceptional professionalism and bravery, enabling an emergency landing and saving 29 passengers. In accordance with Article 109, Clause 23 of the Constitution of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Igor Ivanovich Kshiniakin, Alexander Georgievich Kalyaninov, and Hokuma Jalilgazi Aliyeva were awarded the National Hero of Azerbaijan post-mortem. The flight attendants Zulfigar Sardaroglu Asadov and Aydan Vagivgazi Rahimli were awarded the first-degree order for bravery. Their courage and dedication are a testament to their heroism, and their actions will forever be remembered.
The team investigating the Azal plane crash in Aktau that left 38 people dead will examine what kind of rocket struck the plane. According to the Azerbaijani transport minister, aviation experts were also invited to join the inquiry.
The team investigating the Azal plane crash, along with aviation specialists invited for this case, will examine what kind of weapon, or rather what kind of rocket, caused the plane crash in Aktau, according to Azerbaijan's Minister of Digital Development and Transport, Rashad Nabiev. He noted that Azerbaijani and Kazakh officials have spoken to the survivors and witnesses to gain a clearer understanding of the cause.
During our visit to survivors, including those with Russian citizenship, all of them, without exception, stated that they heard 3 blast sounds when the aircraft was above Grozny city. They indicated that these sounds came from outside, suggesting there was an external impact on the plane. As a result of the blast, one of the flight attendants sustained injuries to her hand, while another woman suffered injuries to both her hand and leg. In other footage, holes are visible on the plane's wing, along with various signs of damage inside the plane, particularly in its interior parts, caused by what appears to be an impact from sharp external objects. Our investigation team, along with aviation specialists invited for this case, will now examine what kind of weapon, or rather, what kind of rocket, was used.
Touching upon other versions of what could have led to the crash of the plane, Mr. Nabiev said that some needed further investigation. However, most of them are easily refuted by the evidence at hand. For example, experts already concluded that there was external interference.
Bildiyiniz kimi kütləvi informasiya vasitələrində ilk saatlarda müxtəlif informasiyalar.
As you know, in the initial hours following the incident, various pieces of information were leaked in the media. Among the leaked claims was the suggestion that the plane may have been struck by birds. However, the initial conclusion reached by experts is that the debris found on the ground and the witness statements indicate that there was external interference.
Burada kənar müdaxilə olub, amma indi söhbət gedir ki,
the current question is what type of weapon caused this external interference. If you paid close attention to the information provided by Kazakh officials, they referred to a claim made by the air traffic controller in Rostov that the explosion might have been caused by an oxygen cylinder.
Rostovda olan dispatcher tərəfindən verildiyinə istinad.
We believe this claim needs to be thoroughly investigated first to confirm whether this information was indeed given or not. We also believe that the information originating from Rostov might have been shared by an interested party.
Bu maraqlı tərəfindən verilən
Furthermore, as I already mentioned, the evidence contradicting this claim includes the fact that there were 3 separate explosions and that these explosion sounds were clearly external.
Azerbaijan Airlines plane flying from Baku to Grozny tragically crashed near Aktau, Kazakhstan on December 25th. The crash led to the death of 38 people, including both pilots, and left 29 passengers injured. While the cause was initially unclear, preliminary investigations now strongly suggest the involvement of a surface-to-air missile.
In space technology news, Turkish-made Turksat 6A, the nation's first domestically produced communication satellite, has successfully reached its final orbit.
Turksat 6A has settled into its geosynchronous orbit at 42 degrees east, as confirmed by Turkey's Minister of Transport and Infrastructure, Abdulkadir Uraloğlu. The satellite began its journey on 9th of July from SpaceX Cape Canaveral launch site and reached a temporary orbit at 50 degrees east on July 20. After passing rigorous payload tests, the satellite was positioned in its final orbit 35,786 kilometers above Earth on December 27 at 05 Turkey time. Minister Uraloğlu described Turksat 6A as Turkey's largest research and development project, highlighting its significance for the country's space ambitions. Developed with domestic companies such as Aselsan and TÜBİTAK Uzay, Turksat 6A showcases Turkey's capability in satellite production. The satellite expands Turkey's communication coverage to new regions, including Southeast Asia, increasing its global reach from 3.5 billion to over 5 billion people. Turksat 6A solidifies Turkey's position as a regional leader and growing global player in space technology.
In China's Jilin province, the winter fishing tradition at Chagan Lake is thriving, with local fishermen continuing to use methods passed down through generations.
Chagan Lake, located in Songyuan City, is one of China's largest freshwater lakes, known for its abundant fishery resources. Every winter, fishermen engage in a time-honored tradition of hand-drilling holes through the thick ice and casting nets into the frozen waters. The fishing process is slow and careful, as fishermen work together to stretch the nets across the icy surface. Despite the challenges of fishing in sub-zero temperatures, the community remains dedicated to keeping the tradition alive. Let our future generations inherit this fishing custom, so they could continue to pass on the legacy. Today, winter fishing in Chagan Lake has become a famous tourist attraction, drawing visitors eager to witness this unique aspect of northeastern Chinese culture.
That's all we have for now. Thank you for watching and stay tuned to A News.